Oh my God, this is a slog. Thank you guys so much for being this patient here. This has got to be... So a quick breakdown here on why I've kept you waiting for 19 minutes now. Quincy and I are having some sound audio issues where he can't hear me, even though I can hear him, as well as my capture card decided at this exact moment that it was the perfect time to automatically do an update that I couldn't cancel, and it completely shut down the system. But we're here now. Let's make the best of it. I will make up for lost time here. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Red Morning on this fabulous November day. There we go. The only thing I'm missing, something I learned from last week with you guys as well, which was great. We'll see if we can get Quincy in here, by the way. From last week is great is that StreamYard isn't quite good enough yet to color code super chats or any of those important questions. So what I'm doing, open up a second window here. We'll see if Quincy can hear us. Right now I can hear him. He's a little bit quiet.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. All right. We're good to go, man.
All
hey,
right,
thank you so much for wearing clothes on this cast.
Yeah, I'm wearing clothes this time, man, because I'm a ass.
I know. I don't know if that's a healthy or safe thing to be doing when you're riding rig to be live streaming. They always say don't text and drive. Is that the same for like podcasting?
I mean, I'm not holding the phone right now. You know what I'm saying? So technically, I'm not breaking any laws right now.
Fair enough.
It's free.
Go America.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
Yes,
dude,
sir.
we haven't talked since like before Carl was on here, and you were bringing up how you basically turned your life around and there was like a new job coming on. Oh, I guess for a lot of guys, you may be brand new to the channel. You may not know Quincy. Quincy is the most beloved man in this space. I can't think of anybody who doesn't love this man.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, it was, we found each other because I introduced you to intermittent fasting, and since then you've been a huge fan of it. You pulled off some stuff I didn't even think was possible. Like that 7-day fast was crazy.
Yes, I'm going to be doing that. Okay. Yeah, I'm every January 1st. You know what I'm saying?
Dang. Yeah, and then through that, so let me see if I can remember everything that happened. So you bought a couple weight vests because you like the idea of being able to carry more weight and be more active, even though when you're driving a truck, it's mostly like a sitting down job, which is kind of annoying. You've been fasting, you've been eating healthier. And the newest one there is you just started, was it a new job? You were kind of very vague about it too.
Yeah, well,
it was a new job or a new career or something.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, man. This day and age, man, I don't want punk ass bitches trying to figure out where I work at and dox me and what. I'm scared to lose my job. I'm scared of beating their ass if they ever show up to it. So I'm not going to give the name of my company. I'm just going to say that I started a new company that's based out of Denver, and it's going very, very, very well. I've been here, let's see here, just about 2 months, and damn near cleared about 15 G's so far after taxes.
Damn.
So yeah, it is going quite well. They freaking keep me busy, and it is minimal work. You know what I mean? Like last time we talked, I was doing flatbed stuff, right?
Yeah.
And, I can talk about it now since I'm not there anymore, and the statute of limitations have gone past. They didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground, brother, and they had me running illegal, cooking the books. Wasn't getting enough money, so I bounced. So where I'm at now, real good. If there's anybody who wants to be a truck driver, holler at me. It's at Cursed Fud from 2 Ds for a double dose of this here knowledge.
Dude, that's impressive. So your queen, she had no problems picking up and moving halfway across the country just because you're like, I got a mission, and you're into it, and you're welcome to join me.
No, we still live in Atlanta, brother. We still live in Atlanta. She's made it clear she's not moving, further west in Georgia because she has a huge, and I mean huge family. Like, just counting the members who are still alive, it's well over 200. So she wants to be close to them. But my job in Denver, they have regular freight going to Atlanta all the time. So I get home. I'm actually getting home more often now than I ever did with any other gig. For real. It's like,
Really?
I've been here for 2 months, and I've been home, shit, man, already 6 times already, you know? Did I lose you?
You're a little bit quiet, but I can hear you still.
Hey, yeah?
Dude, that's awesome, though, from a risk perspective. I can't think of many people who are willing to, like, take risks like that. Start up a company, even to change a job that they don't like. Most people just don't do that. Then again, most people just don't stop eating either. So you're really hitting all the miracles.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you're still there?
Hold on.
No worries. We're gonna get oh. But yeah, we got a good hour with you
Right,
anyway.
can you hear me?
Yeah, now you're clear. This is what happens when you try and live stream from your damn truck. Oh, we lost Quincy. Okay, dude, everybody loves this guy because he reminds me a lot of, and if you guys don't know, another guy I really respect in this space is Tanner Guzzi. Switched on guy. There is nothing about him. Like, yeah, he's LDS and I'm an atheist, but just to talk to the guy, he beams charisma and personality just like Quincy. And they put their money where their mouth is. They actually do things. Now, everything may not be successful. I mean, on Quincy's case, is doing very well, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be making forward progress, forward movement.
Yes.
And they're not ignorant about the way things work. And that's kind of the best part too, because I really hate bullshit, and I've taken it. You do too.
Hey, brother, if I may just expand on what you just said,
please.
Is that all right? Okay, in life, you're going to make a few fucking mistakes. You're going to get knocked the fuck around. How you respond to said actions is going to be your mark. It's going to be your measure as a man. Nobody has a perfect life. Okay, I'm doing good right now, but trust me, it can be a lot better. The difference between me and some other folks, and I'm not saying this to brag or gloat, I'm just making a point. The difference is when my shit hits the fan, I don't let it consume me. I don't curl up in a ball and say, woe is me, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, no. I fucking dig deep inside this apple gut and look myself in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do to get myself out of this situation? What can I do to unfuck myself? And then I go do it.
Hey, it's a solid plan. You can't fault a guy for that. Did the same myself. The difference is, though, when I moved across the country, my woman came with me.
What? Get out of here.
Yeah. I was in the military, and then I was getting a posting to Montreal from British Columbia. So it's like Seattle to New York. And I'm like, yeah, if you want out, now's your time. And she goes, no, let's go. Didn't even hesitate. It was awesome. Ride or die.
Well, you know what? And it's in a situation like that, my girl has already said, like, you know, if like the barn buster of all great ideas came through for me and it involved me moving further away from her family, she'd be okay with it because she trusts me, you know, which is phenomenal that you have a partner that trusts you and you have a partner that you can trust. You know what I mean? So it's like, and say maybe a year or two from now, I get a call from Oklahoma or Texas. Yo, what's up, Q? The motherfucking oil fields are still jumping off. Come down here. How can I be making, you know, $3,000 a week? Motherfucker, I'm going. And the fact that my girl is willing to go with me is just icing on the cake.
Dude, that's awesome. I like that. Mission focus. Quincy's going to look after Quincy, and everybody under Quincy is going to be doing just fine. Just got to trust him.
Facts. That's why I'm really not giving too much, you know, of a fuck about this damn election saga, because I've been telling anybody, you know, with a fucking heartbeat I will observe and watch, but I really don't give a fuck who gets elected because it's irrelevant to me. I still have responsibilities no matter who the fuck wins. Okay? If freaking Trump gets reelected, okay, great. I still got to drive 700 miles. If Elizabeth Warren wins, okay, great. I still got to drive these fucking miles. Cory Booker pulls off the upset, fantastic. I still got to put in these fucking miles and provide for my damn family. So that's what the hell I'm going to do. No excuses.
Hey, can't fault you for that one. To be fair, I haven't really followed your election either because we kind of had our own up here. And I barely followed this one.
By the way, the fuck is that with Trudeau, man? He trying to be me or some shit? Walk around in blackface? What the fuck?
Dude, oh, the blackface thing. That's right. Oh, yeah, they're from Montreal. Montreal's still, they're still a little bit old school when it comes to the race thing. Like, I used to live in a place called LaSalle, and on one side of the street, it was all Haitians. And on the other side of the street was all Italians. And then down the way, a bunch of Southeast Asians were moving in. And I lived right in between all three groups. So I was like the hub of racism. Each one of the neighbors would be just talking mad shit about the other groups to us because we were like that safe couple that wasn't a part of it. It's Montreal. Montreal is like America in the 80s.
Okay. Oh, man. Lord have mercy, bro.
But the funny thing is watching those like middle-aged white women, they're dismissing it. They're like, oh, it was just an unforced error. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about
most
that
people up in blackface who aren't pretty 6'3" and a feminist, and I don't think they'll be saying that.
Man, I seen that shit and I'm just like, really, nigga, for real? All you fucking talk about diversity and hey, there's no place here. Yo, punk ass is in motherfucking blackface. Really, nigga? The fuck is wrong with you, dog? Stupid ass. But hey, if you don't like it, I love it. Whatever, man. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to the Ottawa Red Blacks. They lost last night, but it was a damn good game. They really fucking tried last night.
Yeah, good for them. You watch more Canadian sports than I do, apparently.
Man, listen, I love football, okay? I have literally watched Florida high school football at 3 in the morning on ESPN3 because I was on Coke and nothing else was on TV. But I love football, though. And
football and Coke, the best pairing ever.
Yeah, it was Ottawa versus Montreal, which apparently Montreal is kicking ass this year, apparently.
Oh, the Alouettes?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you can watch CFL. I took my wife to see a live game, and she couldn't handle it. She was like, it's ADD. I can't focus because there was dudes on drums banging on this side. The guys are playing sport here. Drones are flying back and forth, taking footage. Cheerleaders are running up and down. She's like, I can't focus on anything. She just kind of like froze.
Well, here's the thing, man. It's like I didn't watch it. I listened to it on the series Tim and whatnot. And on the occasions that I do get to watch it on my phone, all they show is the fucking field. They rarely show the fans of the stadium because y'all some wild boys up there. Like on the few occasions that I have seen shots of the crowd, it's just motherfuckers pounding back beers and shit.
Oh, you guys don't do that in the States?
Yeah, we do, but they rarely show it on TV and whatnot.
Oh yeah, we kept a little bit more of Europe than you guys that way, which is awesome. Like we have no problem watching people drink on TV.
Yeah,
and drink
that damn Molson Triple X.
Molson Triple X. That's the stuff we export to you guys. We keep the good stuff here.
Man, apparently.
But that's fine, dude. Football. That's hilarious. I was going to think, going back to the topic then, the ride or die bitch, which a lot of people think is a myth, but you kind of nailed it, I think, when you were talking about if things were so good that you're going to go down there, she would follow you. And that's women in a nutshell. They want their best option. And so if you're just going over there because you want to start a career playing StarCraft all day or, you know, being a professional drinker or something stupid like that, that may be fun for you, but it's not really great for her, she probably wouldn't come. So, like, she loves you. And from everything I've heard, she loves you. But at the same time, she wouldn't allow herself to be with you if you didn't love yourself. Does that make sense?
Correctamundo. It's like me and her, we refuse to let the other person fail on a consistent basis. We understand that, yeah, some shit you just can't fucking avoid. That's life. Okay? But we are both under the understanding that if one of us isn't, playing our part, then the other person needs to be like, hey, fucking up, tighten up, man, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And as far as my woman, yeah, bro, she is a damn good woman. She actually drove from Atlanta to Colorado to come get me 2 years ago, just as we were starting our relationship, because that was the cheapest route instead of me getting a U-Haul and whatnot. She was just like, you know what? I got a freaking SUV. I'll be there in like a freaking day and a half. And like drove all the way across country her first time to come get me. Man, if that ain't love, I don't know what it is.
Black people in the state.
Say what?
And then you ended up in Colorado, where you guys were two of the three black people that lived in that, that were in that state.
You know what? There's actually a few black people in Denver.
Really?
You know, yeah. Denver does have a sizable black population. Now, once you get outside of Denver, I remember I was staying in this small mountain town. I mean, small as in the population was 101, because I was resident number 101. And I was really one of two black people in the whole damn town. But it was cool though. It's like once you get in those mountain towns, it is very libertarian. Everybody minds your own business. Nobody's been an asshole. You do your thing, I do mine. We'll freaking leave it at that, you know?
Oh yeah, small town US. We did a cross country, and we hit like Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, all those states, the flyover states. And yeah, those small towns, people were so nice. It almost felt like it wasn't America, because I'm the guy who's only ever visited like the coasts. Sailing. We always hit California, Washington, and Florida. So I'm seeing some people that are super kind and they actually like act hurt if you swear and cuss. I was like, damn. These are the kindest people I've seen since Thailand.
Freaking small town America. I love driving through small town America because you see things that you would normally see in like a major city or something like that. You know, it just reminds you of a simpler time. I'm not gonna say a better time, but definitely a simpler time. Like I was driving through West Virginia on Tuesday. I didn't realize that's a sexy damn state. It would have been a better drive if I was in a Mustang or a Camaro, because I was on some tight ass mountain roads and everything. But it was nice. It was nice.
Oh, dude, you would love it up in British Columbia for that, because the roads are the same way like Colorado, where they're basically winding around the Rockies. Such a fun drive. And then you get through like the prairies, like Alberta and Saskatchewan, and it's just hundreds and hundreds of miles of straight stretch. People actually get hypnotized with the road, and they just kind of drift off. So you'll see somebody crash off a big straight stretch.
The eastern part of Colorado is like that. It's like, yeah, we got the Rockies. Once you get 15 miles east of Denver, it's all flat land, all of it. And before you know it, you're in Kansas, more flat land.
Yeah, I was never a fan of that stuff. I'm technically a prairie boy, so I'm from Alberta, which would be like eastern Colorado, technically. And the sunsets and sunrises is nice when there's nothing in the way, but I don't know. Something about negative 45 degrees in the winter just wasn't working for me. That's basically Siberia.
Where were you at? Where was negative 45? Jesus.
Edmonton, Alberta, capital of Alberta. It's almost directly north of Colorado, I think.
Fuck all that noise. I mean, I'm from Michigan, but damn, fucking negative 45. Fuck all that.
See, here's the thing, though. There's a huge black population in Alberta, too, because the Underground Railroad, there was Halifax, and I think Alberta was one of the other spots where it kind of stopped off. Like, most of my family's from there. And I think I showed you pictures of, like, my mom getting married in her daishiki. And I might have told you the story about my great-grandmother, how she was 13 when they emancipated the slaves in the States, and that's when they moved to Canada.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, believe me, brother. I am hip about all the black people that moved up to Canada and settled in Halifax and Newfoundland and whatnot. Oh yeah, I'm hip, brother. I'm hip.
Yeah, it's just really funny to see because it's like they're just like Americans, but they're not at the same time. There's little differences. I don't know how to explain it, but I put you into a barbecue and you'd probably pick up on it right away.
Hey man, you talking barbecue? You talking my damn love language?
Well, I will get this though. The States has always had better barbecue. I do cooking channels on my own, but I haven't seen a barbecue yet in Canada that compares to Texas, even New York. What are some of the other ones? Louisiana. I think those are the barbecue stuff I've been exposed to so far. And what's that?
That's that's one of the perks about me living in Georgia. Oh man, you got good damn barbecue everywhere. And every once in a while,
well, it looks like they do.
they do. And every once in a while, I'll be on the road and I will find some good ribs. You know what I'm saying, in a place where you never expected to find ribs.
Oh, just some hole in the wall place.
Yeah, man. Like up in the mountains, like 30 miles west of Denver, there's a town called Idaho Springs. I used to live there too. There's a place called the Smoking Yards. Man, fucking ribs are phenomenal. And if I remember correctly, during football season, on Monday night football, it's all you can eat ribs. Because me and my friends used to get high as a giraffe's ass, then go over there and just fuck shit up. It was glorious. Like he would see us coming and be like, "Oh fuck, not these assholes again." Like, yeah, motherfuckers, us. Let's go. Let's
I was
go.
just thinking of that. Did you ever watch that Simpsons episode where Homer went to an all-you-can-eat fish place and they kicked him out? And then he left and he went fishing.
Yes. And you know what? I've actually recreated one of those scenes, like when he goes up to the damn buffet thing and just grabs the whole container. I've done that before, just to be a jackass.
Well, how do you? So now you're obviously eating and you're dropping weight. You've already looked a lot thinner since I first saw you on there. How do you handle all these rib places now? Is it just you literally eat every rib thinking, well, there's another 8 hours on the fast. There's another 10 hours in the fast. Oh, these are good. This will give me a 2-day fast.
You know what? Honestly, here's the thing. When I fast, I fast. I don't break it for anything or anyone. If I say I'm gonna do this 36-hour fast or this 24-hour fast, I don't break that for anything. I can tell you that having been fasting for over a year now, I'm definitely eating less than I was before I started fasting. Mm-hmm. It's like back, like say a year ago, I could finish a whole damn slab of ribs. Now, not so much. I might get, 2 or 3 bones in and be like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and say that for tomorrow or later on tonight or something like that.
Yeah, well, you know the science behind that one, don't you?
Huh?
There's a science behind it. It's when you're eating, there's a chemical that I can't remember if it's the stomach releases it to the brain, but there's a chemical in your body that signals your brain that you're full. And it's slower than your stomach can actually fill itself with food. And the problem is when you eat a whole bunch, it's like diabetes, where if you eat too much sugar, your insulin doesn't work right. If you eat too much, that chemical that tells your brain you're full doesn't work right. So when you've been fasting, you're given that a chance to reset in your body. So that's why now you just eat a little bit and your stomach's telling your brain, okay, we're good now. So it's you're literally resetting your body.
You know what? I can certainly attest to the fact that resetting your body when you're fasting. As far as the science of being full, what I can tell you is when my stomach starts to hurt, all right, motherfucker, calm down. You're done for the day. Throw in a towel, And it's usually, it gets to that way, like, you know what? I'm at the point now, I can't eat a foot-long sandwich in one sitting anymore. Just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just like, oh, God, damn stomach. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm just like no good to nobody. So it's like everything in moderation. Um, I still go to a buffet just because on a rare occasion that I eat at the truck stop,
Yeah.
it's a cheaper option than ordering off the menu. And even then, I get it for takeout because that's even cheaper than eating a buffet inside. It's like if you sit down and go to the buffet, it's like $10.99. But if you get it to go, it's only $5 a pound, which you know,
Pound of food is a fair bit.
you know, yeah, it's not bad at all. I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Wheeling, West Virginia, got up that Tuesday morning, got some coffee, went in, and they had the buffet going, and I'm like, cool. I got me a takeout box, filled that some bitch up with sausage patties, sausage links, bacon, you know what I'm saying? Just pound that shit on. Just a total carnivore smorgasbord, right?
Yeah.
And filled it up, ended up being like just over a pound. So it was like, things like $6.10 with tax. That one box lasted me the whole damn day. That's really all I ate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's plenty of enough calories too. So that's the best part.
Yeah.
Something else too. Did you notice that obviously when you're at trucks, when you're trucking, you don't really have much choice. It's whatever's available. And you kind of found some good solutions. Do you find though, when you're at home, at least I did when I was fasting, afterwards, since I only had like an 8-hour eating window, I would always eat better food. I'm like, well, I'm only going to eat one meal in this 2 days. I'm not going to eat cheesies. I'm going to actually make something really nice.
You know what? Correct. It's like when I'm home and everything, like, yeah, I'm definitely eating better because I have more options. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I might cook me, a piece of steak or something with cauliflower rice on the side, or have a couple burgers with no buns or something like that. When you're on the road, if you don't have a fridge or something in your truck or somewhere to cook food, yeah, you're pretty much at the mercy of the truck stop. And I'll be the first to say that truck stop food is fucking atrocious, man. I see a lot of these guys, bro. Somebody said, I'm just like, I can't believe I used to eat this bullshit. Like, damn. Like, I've seen these taquitos, with like, ooh, geez.
Oh, those are horrible.
I'm just like, you gonna pay for this shit, motherfucker? You gonna pay for it? Sure enough.
Dude, I had taquitos once. I don't know how people can eat those things.
I got that shit, ate it. Sure enough, 45 minutes later, dumb motherfucker. Shit. So it's like you have to be real mindful. I've also noticed I'm keeping track of what the calories are in everything that I eat as well. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember where I heard it from, but I remember hearing this quote: "You can't outrun a fork." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, what's the point of like doing all these exercises and all these squats and all these curls if your bum ass is still eating like you're 5 years old or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's impossible because somebody actually had a video on that where they showed how much exercise you'd have to do to burn off a gummy bear. And it was like something like 10 sit-ups each. But then you realize most people are eating them by the handful, and you're like, yeah, there's not enough exercise. Like you literally, unless you're one of those guys that swims 15 kilometers a day, you're just not going to burn that much calories.
Exactly. It's like I basically eat 2 meals a day now. Occasionally, I'll skip down and do one meal a day. But yeah, I'm pretty much that, just like 2 meals. Like yesterday morning, I had 3 slices of habanero cheese, and then last night, I went and got me an electric skillet, which is a godsend, and put on two ribeye steaks and fucked them all up last night. It was cooked in coconut oil and butter, and damn was it good.
Jeez. We were just talking about eating healthy, and you're bringing up butter soup.
Butter soup? What butter soup? First of all, butter comes for animals. Animals are good. Second of all, it wasn't like they were eating a pound each. I'm talking both of them like maybe 3 ounces. So like 6 ounces total of meat. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was like a fucking 2-inch thick tomahawk cut, sit your ass down. No,
Look at that. I bring up butter soup and you're looking at me like I'm dressed in blackface. What the hell?
It wasn't butter soup, you fucker. it was butter and some coconut oil. You know what I'm saying? Just because I want to add some flavor to it, some black pepper. Basically, look, if y'all watching this, eat like you give a fuck. How about that? Let's make it real simple. Eat like you give a fuck. You know goddamn well you should be eating donuts every goddamn day. Like you ain't got no damn sense. You know what I'm saying? You ain't supposed to be fucking drinking whiskey every day like it's damn water. I ain't saying don't drink. I'm saying do it in moderation. Eat like you give a fuck. That's all.
Mm-hmm. No, it's huge. It wouldn't. You wouldn't be. Actually, you would be surprised how many guys that I've had on forums or clients or people I've talked to that, since they can't automatically have six-pack abs and look like Denzel Washington, they don't even try. When in reality, like you said, even a little bit. Like right now, when you first started, I think you were what, 370 pounds. I don't know what do you know what you weigh now?
You know what? I'm still around 370, but for some reason my pants are looser. I can't explain this shit. So I've pretty much been the same damn weight for a while, but I'm getting more defined, and I'm having to tighten my belt more, and I jiggle way less than I did a year ago.
Oh, so how many notches have you lost in your belt so far?
Huh?
Are you at the point now where you actually have to cut more notches into your belt, or?
You know what? I'm at the point now where I had to get one of those D-ring belts and just keep on tightening it up because I kept having to poke holes in my old belt. I poked like 5 holes in that belt. I'm just like, it's time just to get a freaking D-ring belt and just, tighten it. That way you ain't constantly just poking holes in your belt. I'm gonna put it like this here, man. I don't know if you heard of this dude, Wes Watson on YouTube, but he dropped a fucking gem on me when it comes to your life and your health and your situation. Simply put, this is not a rehearsal. You only get one goddamn life. You might as well make the best of it. And baby, truer words have never been spoken. All right? This is your one and only shot at this thing we call life. Why would you half-ass it? Why would you purposely go through and fuck it up? Why wouldn't you want to live the best life that you can? And to be quite honest, if you think your best life is getting fucked up every weekend, sipping on syrup and codeine and doing cocaine every goddamn day.
Sipping on it? How the hell do you guys do it in the States?
Huh?
They don't sip Coke up here. What are you talking about?
I said codeine.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically cough syrup, It's like strong ass cough syrup. What a motherfucker do, he'll get a little styrofoam cup, then put another styrofoam cup in it, fill it up with ice, a soda of some sort, usually strawberry soda or Sprite, put some Jolly Ranchers in, and then pour in some codeine on top, stir it
didn't
up.
They also call that lean?
What's
I
up?
remember hearing somebody call that. It was lean or something, wasn't it? Didn't it almost kill Lil Wayne?
That's what it is, lean. Let me tell you something, bro. As somebody who's done lean and a bunch of other goddamn drugs, yeah, it's cool that first time. And the second time, I was just like, you need to stop doing this because you're going to get hooked. Like, it just puts you in a state of, I don't want to do shit, dog. I just want to sit here and just, it's no good. If you want to try it once when you're 18, 19, great, awesome. If y'all ass in your late 20s, late 30s, and you still pouring up lean, Come on, man. Do better. Do better. Please do better.
Well,
Again, this is not
I just don't get it. We don't have that up here. We've never tried it. I've never tried it. I don't think I'm ever going to try it. I barely even tried weed when they made it legal here. It just put me to sleep, and I was like, oh, what's the point? I can sleep already.
Man, you know what? I'm not even going to lie. I love weed. I love smoking weed. I'm just not doing it now because I'm and we get randomly drug tested. But rest assured, the day I retire from being a truck driver, I'm smoking weed like a motherfucker. Listen, let me just say something right here. It is absolutely possible to be productive and a weed head. I'm proof of that. Because back in my day when I was doing concert security and going on as a roadie, setting up, breaking down stages, I was smoking weed like a fucking chimney. So anybody who tells me, oh, weed smokers are just lazy stoners, fuck you, no, we're not.
Well, some people are. If guys are lazy, weed makes them lazier. If guys aren't lazy, weed just makes them whatever. So, a question for you. You were a roadie in a concert thing, and here's some red meat that the audience would love.
What's up?
Oh, I think we're losing you again. If we keep you, I want to hear some roadie stories. Like, are we talking big A-class bands? Or are we talking like mid-tier guys? Or
we are talking everybody from megastars to people trying to break out. I've got some road stories. Some names I may have to change because I ain't trying to get sued. But I will say that for the most part, it wasn't like it was in the 80s. Most backstage happenings is, band members on Skype with their family members or they go back home. Occasionally, it would be a good time. Anytime that I Willie Nelson show, I know, it's gonna be real chill. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be some good music, and he always gives the road hands bags of weed when the fucking show is done. Love that guy.
That's so Willie Nelson.
Yes, Willie Nelson is awesome. Let me say something. That man smokes more weed than anybody I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. Jesus Christ. I've seen that man smoke a whole ounce up in one day, like it was nothing. Like it was nothing.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that lasts in our house for like 7 to 10 months.
Dude, let's see here. At my height, I say an ounce would last me about a week. You know what I'm saying? Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie. Great guy, professional. His crew is professional. His wife is hot. Showed us her tits. You know what I'm saying? Great time. Great time. Good music. Incubus.
Well, I'm curious though. What do girls try to do to get backstage with these guys? I'm assuming running Hope Patrol is part of your job at that point.
You know what? Here's what I'm gonna say because fuck this band and fuck their fans. Fucking Tesla, okay? They came through Austin and did a show. First of all, I didn't realize Austin, Texas had that many meth users because it was a sold out show. It may have been 100 teeth in that whole damn venue. Just meth mouth everywhere, dude. Just fucking crazy. And like I'm working backstage, and this dude walks up with his girl, "Hey there, big boy," and my wife will suck you off if you let us backstage. I'm just like, get out, get out, get out, get out, go away, go away. No, hell no.
You didn't want a gummer?
I'm like, first of all, motherfucker, first of all, your motherfucking girl is built like Brian Bosworth. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not, no.
It's a nice 80s reference, by the way.
I like Brian Bosworth, which, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen his movie Stone Cold, go see it. It's a damn good movie. Here's one that I found funny. And you know what? If the motherfucker sues me, I don't care. I saw Eddie Van Halen slap the shit out of David Lee Roth, and it was awesome. Oh, it was awesome. This is the thing. It wasn't a forward slap. It was a backhand slap. Woo! Oh, my God.
I got to tell that one
It's
to
like,
Rolo. He's a huge Van Halen fan.
man,
What was it
listen,
over? Were they
bro.
just talking and
They-
decided enough?
Yeah, man. Like, the freaking show was over. They're walking backstage. 80's in front, followed by David Lee Roth, followed by Wolfgang, followed by whoever else was with them. And they're chatting, and Eddie just turns around, man, fuck you, Dave. I'm just like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh. So they keep on walking this shit, right? And about 2 minutes later, their freaking tour manager comes through with a fucking stack of hundreds and just starts paying up the road. It's like, y'all ain't see shit, right? We're like, nope, we ain't see a goddamn thing. Nope.
All I could picture is when with I know it's probably later on, but I'm picturing with all the spandex and like the Panama gear, that big glowing weave that he had, just cuffing him and watching that thing flutter in the wind.
Dude, I mean, it was some shit, man. You know who Dancing is? The band?
Yeah.
Okay. Glenn Dancing, that fucker, he is persona non grata in Austin, Texas. We let it be known to him. He come to Austin again. He might fucker, and if he does leave, he gonna leave. That guy is a complete asshole. A complete and total asshole. Like,
Well, yeah, it's Danzig. What do you thought? He was a nice, charming fellow. Have you heard his music?
I've heard his music. I've heard other punk bands. I've seen other metal bands be completely professional. Slayer, I've worked their shows. They're professional. Henry Rollins, he's professional. Glenn Danzig can go get fucked right in his ear. Okay? Showing up 3 hours late, demanding shit that wasn't on your fucking writer, you know what I'm saying? Being a dickhead to the fucking local crew, and then breaking the unwritten rule about the rock and roll business. Don't get on the microphone and talk shit about the local crew. You asshole. Like, fuck that guy. Fuck him. He makes good music. I like his music. Personally, I want to knock him the fuck out.
That is funny. I was thinking too, because a lot of guys, we tell guys if they want to get better with women, like starting your own band, getting some status would probably be a good thing to work with. It sounds like it's a great path to be able to smack David Lee Roth if you want to.
You know what? Honestly, I can tell you from experience, if you are good at your craft, you can be ugly as a motherfucker and still get some pussy. All right, because I've worked security for some bands, and they were nice dudes. And I'm just like, y'all niggas ugly. But yet and still, when the show's over, they got girls and whatnot. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about music in general that turns, women into horny bastards, and in some cases bastards, but it does. It does. Oh,
It's the status.
anyway, I've got a Morrissey story for you, which is fucking hilarious. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, hello,
I can hear you. Go.
hello.
Yeah,
Check,
go.
check, 2. Okay, can you hear me? Yes or no? Okay. Yeah. Mic check. All right. Sorry, man. I'm freaking going through Kansas. Can you hear me? Yes? Oh,
Yes.
fucking hell.
Yes.
There you are, Ryan. What's up, boy? Okay.
Oh boy, Quince, you're killing me, man. Just tell your story.
Okay, cool. I was working in Morrissey's concert one day. You know who that is, right? Morrissey? Yeah. Okay. I don't know if broad even got to my location because to get to where I was at, you had to go through 3 other layers of fucking security. So right off bat, I'm pissed. Like somebody ain't doing their fucking job. What the fuck? So I'm literally 10 feet from Morrissey on stage, right? And this chick comes running up the stairs. Hold up. I fucking stop her dead in the tracks like, where the fuck are you going? Get out of here. She hits me with the no habla inglés. And she was a white chick. Okay? I know she was white because I refuse to believe that there are Mexican girls as pale as she is with red hair and fucking freckles. She looked like that fucking chick on Doctor Who. You know what I'm saying? So
my girl's from Lopez Mateo.
What's up?
My girl's a white girl. She's from the Southern Baja.
But it's pale, redhead with freckles.
Well, she's blonde with freckles, but yeah.
Okay, you know what? Blonde. I've seen blonde Latin women,
but just not redheads. Got it.
Yeah, there's not redheads with no tan to them whatsoever. No tan and freckles everywhere. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I speak Spanish. Muévete el rápido, por favor, señorita. She looks at me like, no, bitch. Okay, you know what? Sign language. If you don't walk away, I am going to pick you up and throw your ass out of here. So she's still looking at me like, I don't know what the fuck going on. So being a man of my word, I picked her little ass up, threw her on my shoulder and shit. And she's like, okay, I'll leave. I'm like, oh, now you speaking English, huh? Now you speaking of goddamn, get the fuck out of here. So I put her back down, and she starts walking off. And it's like, but if I could just, and at this point, Morrissey's security showed up with a big ass, like 6'6" Samoan dude, just comes up. Hey, girl, you heard the man. Get the fuck out of here. He just fucking shoves her, and she went flying, dude. Flying off the stage into the crowd. I'm just like, damn. Holy shit. I mean, I say she went about a good 15 feet, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Just, and like, after the show, I went to my guys and chewed them out like, yo, do your fucking job. That broad should have never made it to me, man. It's like, we have fun doing security. We also gotta take this shit seriously, bro, because, you know, artists do have stalkers that want to hurt them. You don't want to be working the shift where your artist gets fucked up because you didn't do your job. Be better, please.
I'm just laughing how well you taught that girl English by picking her up. Hey, so I'll tell a story here. A lot of subscribers and guys that watch this channel, they always ask about how to be a better storyteller, because telling good stories is a great way to build rapport with girls. And I thought that was a great example you just used there. So I want to kind of break it down a bit for everybody. If you'll notice, when Quincy was telling his stories, there's a few takeaways from it. First off, he's engaging. You see, he enjoys the story. And by him enjoying the story, by him being excited about it, it makes me excited to hear it. I mean, there's also some other things which they call displays of higher value. It's an old pickup term. You notice when he's talking about the story, he's mentioning a bunch of things. And if I was a girl, it would be way more attractive. The fact that he can just pick up a girl in caveman like that, I guarantee a girl is thinking in the back of her head, I wonder if he can pick me up like that. When he's telling stories about how he's around like successful people, yeah, I was doing Morrison's thing. I was hanging out with Willie Nelson. These guys are great fellows. Like, yeah, he's working at Roadie, but at the same time, people like people that are liked by likable people. So the fact that Jim Morrison has his back and kicked the girls out, Willie Nelson throwing him a bag of weed because he enjoyed his time at the job there. These are all like displays of higher value. And you notice he wasn't bragging. Like when you weren't bragging, that was just the story. The story was the story, right?
Thank you. I tried. I've got one about Marilyn Manson. I'm not proud about it, but it happened. The sick motherfucker. And I'm saying that as a sick motherfucker. That's a sick motherfucker. This was fucking year was this? Yeah, let's say 2009. Yeah, I'm taking a guess. 2008, 2009 was a blur because I was fucking whoring myself out, had 7 jobs, and was popping Adderall like fucking breath mints. But
Oh, breath
at the
mints.
time,
Thank God.
what's up?
Well, at least you had good breath. That's good.
Man, listen, bro, that Adderall is a motherfucker, man. Seriously, that Adderall is something else. The look on my dealer's face when I told him I was leaving Austin and going to Boulder, he was hurt. Because he was making that much money off of me. He was just like, you can't go, dude. Like, how the fuck am I going to pay for these goddamn classes if you leave? I'm like, I don't know, man, but I got to go. He was just like, shit, I got to call my parents. Damn. In that time frame, I looked like Mr. T. Big ass, mohawk, beard, everything, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll just skip to the punchline. Show's over. The freaking stadium's empty. I'm, working my post. Manager comes up to me like, hey, man, listen, bro. I got a favor. I'm like, well, what's up? What's going on? He's like, yo, Marilyn Manson is a huge Mr. T fan. It'll blow his shit if you come backstage and hang out and just say hi to him. I'm like, word? He's like, yeah, word. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, why not, whatever. So I go back there, and this motherfucker is just like, oh my God, that's fucking awesome, man. I love the more, dude. It's fucking phenomenal. We're taking pictures and shit. He's giving me the bunny ears and the picture and whatnot. I mean, he totally fanboyed out. I'm just like, really? Really? I had no idea. So after about 30, 45 minutes of me hanging backstage, doing things that I'm damn sure not about to say on camera, I'm just like, man, look here, bro. This is cool and everything, but my post. It's like, all right, man, take it easy. And the motherfucker slapped me on my ass like I was a bitch. I'm like, hey, man,
Oh, that was a good game. Whatever.
Take your head off my head. What's up?
He was giving you a good game.
No.
You've never seen those? You guys not have those in the States?
Bro,
give a guy a little pat on the butt.
He squeezed my ass.
Oh, he squeezed it.
No. When the pat, he squeezed a Charmin. Fuck all that. So my first thought was to hit that motherfucker, but his bodyguard's standing right there. I'm just like, yes.
Well, aren't you one of his bodyguards technically at that point? Not a good look when your bodyguard punches out the briefcase.
Yeah. I'm just like, look here, bro. I'm flattered, but I'm not gay. Okay? So what everything is gonna happen is he gets this close to my face and says, damn, we could have had a lot of fun together. What? Yeah. So I just, back out the room slowly. And for the rest of the night, he's looking at me with the freaking fuck you. I was like, damn, boy, you sure looking. I'm just like, what the fuck? Man, you got a legion of fans that will gladly let you fuck them. And you choosing me. No.
Well, you're the challenge. You're the one that doesn't want them.
No, I'm good.
But you shaved that mohawk off pretty quick then, didn't you?
Actually, no.
Mr. T days are over.
No, man. No, I freaking kept it for like another year or something, man. I liked it. It was cool. I was kind of going through an outsider phase right then, where it's just like, well, I'm not going to work a regular 9 to 5. I'm just going to, work this gig here, work this gig there. And, it was good for a while, you know what I'm saying? But it also took a toll on my whole damn body. But for that 2-year period, it was cool. It was cool, man. Fucking going to sleep in one town, waking up in another town, and it was nice. It was nice. It was nice.
I can see that. So, hey, I was thinking too, in the next few minutes here, we're really losing you on the connection. I was probably going to let you go and then take over for the second hour. But before we go, how's the missus doing? Is she all right with you on live streaming, talking with red pillars when you should be talking with Hotep? You should be on with Hotep Jesus. You do know that, right?
Man, listen there, brother. She is cool with it because while we differ on things regarding politics and whatnot, she supports me 100%. I support her 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've kind of made it an agreement to stay off of each other's timelines because when it comes to the timeline, ours is like the polar opposite. Like, hers is nice and wholesome, mine isn't. But that's all right, though. It's kind of a boring ass relationship if you and your partner were exactly the same. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
she's okay with it. She knows about the red pill movement. You know what I'm saying? Some facets of it she likes. She likes some facets of hotels. And TradCon, there's like maybe one thing of that she likes. But yeah,
she likes that they like Jesus. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, she has no issues with me hopping on podcasts and whatnot at all.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, but hey, man, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to talk here. We got Chesty, might have him on if he wants to come on there. But Quincy, this is fun. We're going to do this again in a while. It turns out there's a lot of people that want to come on too, so I got to get a rotation going on and schedule this thing like a proper professional.
Did you say Chesty Rockwell?
Yeah. He was saying too, he used to go to a lot of the clubs. That's right, I forget. He's another guy. He's a huge fan of yours.
Yeah, man. You tell that guy I said, what's up?
He's in the chat. You tell him yourself.
Hey, what's up, motherfucker? Detroit Phoenix, stand up. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, but hey, man, enjoy the rest of your drive. I'm just gonna close this thing out here. We got another hour, and then I got a couple topics I want to get off. Dude,
Brian, hold up, man.
Yeah.
I need like 1 minute. Is that cool?
Dude, take your time.
Okay, cool. Check it out. Anybody who is watching or listening to this, you're good. You're kind. You're amazing. Do not think for a second that if you're going through a bad thing, that it's going to stay a bad thing. No. It's never too late to unfuck yourself, gentlemen. Never, ever, ever. Let's be a brotherhood. Let's help each other. I'm at Cursed Bud with 2 D's. Anybody needs help, work, you know what I'm saying, or you just feeling away, holla at me, dog. I ain't saying I got all the answers, but I'll help you anywhere I can. Red Pill Movement. Let's fucking do this shit.
Dude, right on, man. That's awesome. You kind of got me all pumped now. All right, so you guys heard it. At Cursed Fud, 2 Ds. Dude, follow him. If nothing else, he's like I think between you and Ed Lattimore, I can't figure out. We call him Mr. Rogers, but I think you're going after his spot as the guy that everybody likes.
Man, listen, I like Ed Lattimore. I wish he would give me a follow back. I would like to play him in chess one day because I like chess. You know, good dude.
Yeah, all right. Anyways, I'm going to let you go then. Have fun, man. I'll talk to you afterwards, and thank you again. Thank you again for your time, and please don't crash while we're off. I don't want this to be the last thing that people hear of you.
I'm not going to crash. I got you, brother.
All right, later, brother. All right, guys. Everybody, that was Cursed Fud. If you're on the live or on the podcast via audio with Red Morning, which is now on audio, or anchor.fm, plus it's like spread off to everything, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, what have you. Cursed Fud, he's driving right around the country right now, doing his job on trucks, and he's been a great bridge between guys who are red-pilled and guys who are hotep. He kind of reminds me of the guy who's always been fun. As you can tell, he had a great life, and he's done a lot of things, and now he's working on the things that happen now. Like now he's gained a whole bunch of weight, which he's dropping off on, and he's got a good woman. He's living a good life. He basically got all of it out of his system. And then he actually wanted to settle down. And a lot of guys do that. I kind of did that same path myself, where you have your fun, you go absolutely nuts. And then as you get older, you realize that maybe it's not the best use of your time to be doing nothing but partying. And then you move on to new things. And that's part of the process. You can't bang hose your entire life. But I want to go back to storytelling, because it's a very hard thing to talk about and enunciate on the camera here. By the way, I love how I got this super spy lighting going on. I should probably fix that, but I'll get around to it later. Like, you'll see that on his stories when he was telling them, the stories were never about him. The difference between a good storyteller and a bad storyteller is they can tell you a story about themselves, but it's more about not himself. In this case, his story, it wasn't the Quincy story. It was the Morrison story. It was the story about that crazy psycho that snuck through security. And in that whole time, he's able to pepper it in with little subtext of why he's an awesome guy and you want to get him know him better. First off, he's picking girls up and throwing them over his shoulder. He casually threw in that he speaks Spanish. Kind of jokes around that he speaks sign language too, which he obviously doesn't. He's very engaging. He tells the story well, and he keeps you interested in it. He knows where to pause and give little cliffhangers where there's something that you want to hear. It's kind of like a jazz thing where there's tension in the release. So he's telling, and it's not a huge bombastic story like Lord of the Rings. It's a story about how he's standing on a staircase and some little Mexican girl is trying to sneak by him, and then he says no, picks her up and throws her out. Like, that's not a really deep story, but at the same time, it's fully entertaining. So if you learn nothing else from him, learn how you can take just normal everyday life stuff and make it into a good story. Like, you can do something like that with a story about how you had to go to the grocery store and buy something and you ran into, and then one interesting thing happened. A lot of the time, people's lives are so boring that just a little story like that told well can be an amazing display of higher value. And it's not only just good for talking to women, to attracting women, it's also a good way to get camaraderie among guys. Like, you see it even in the chat. Like, you see Chesty's right there, Conk's right there, Drew's right there. These guys have all talked with Quincy at some level. And like I said, everybody likes him because he's just a fun, charismatic guy to be around. Now, if you're that guy and you can add yourself a 6-pack on top of that, you're basically golden. World's your oyster. Notch counts don't even matter. Doesn't matter if you're 6'2", doesn't matter if you got a great jawline. People's lives, and even said that with his missus there. She had a very, traditional kind, very vanilla, milquetoast kind of upbringing. Not a lot of stories to tell, but who did she end up going for? She didn't go after that traditional conservative guy who just sat around saying, I'm going to make a bunch of money till I'm 30, then let's settle down and have 8 kids. She picked the former bad boy who's looking to settle down. And so there's a lesson in there. Like, everybody can go on that kind of route. It's not hard to be a bad boy in your own way. Doesn't take much either. You could still build your fortune. There's nothing saying you can't make money and be a professional at your job. If everybody but Danzig can be a professional, then you can be a professional and still be a badass. So I'll leave it on that one. We're going to move off from that one then. And I was going to get to a topic that Chesty was talking about. Apparently, if you guys don't know, it's No Nut November, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. It's also Movember, the mustache month. And it ties in well with, NoFap and a whole bunch of things in this sphere where guys deny themselves, but they don't do it for any purpose. It's just doing it to say they did it. If you guys don't know, I had a speech 2017 in Florida. I'm sure I've talked about it once or twice. But one of the things I really found to be a detrimental mental model for guys is those knuckle push-ups and the cold showers. It's what you think of when you think of that Fight Club line where self-improvement is masturbation. And this is exactly one of those things. It's a masturbatory situation. So if you go through No Nut November, which was it, no fooling around with yourself, no fooling around with girls. It's basically becoming a eunuch for a month. Ask yourself, what's the point of doing that? Like at the end of it, what's going to happen at the end of the 30 days? And it's pretty much nothing. If the guy goes without porn for that long, well, come day 31, he's back on it, doesn't really care anyway. If a guy goes and denies his wife for a month, what happens at the end of the month? She's probably been pretty angry at him for that entire 30 days. And so he didn't have a good go of it. And yeah, it's like Drew said, it's just stupid. And this is a huge difference. If you learn nothing else from this cast, well, learn how to tell good stories, but learn that all action you take, just because something is difficult, doesn't mean it's useful. And just because something is easy, doesn't mean it's hedonistic and bad for you. Sometimes being that life of the party who's drinking lean, although I wouldn't suggest it. From what I understand, that crap's horrible for you. But that, I mean, Lil Wayne can do that. Rock out a concert. Is he being hedonist? Yes. But is he being more successful than the guy that abstains? 100%. Find some way to map that concept to more, well, maybe healthier ways of dealing with things. Then at the same time, you've got, if you're going to go without, if you're going to do a monk mode thing, if you're going to no nut November, well, then have a reason for it. A fast makes sense. If you're doing a 2-day fast, a 3-day fast, like there's actual reasons why that's helpful. Like I was talking before, and I wish Drew might know this better than me. He's more into fitness and nutrition than me. I can't remember the name of the chemical, but there's a certain chemical that once you're eating, it signals to your brain that you're full. Stops you from eating. You're like, oh, I don't want to eat anymore. I'm full. Problem is, it's a very slow moving chemical. And if you eat fast, you can actually get well past the state where you're full. Your stomach will start stretching before it signals to your brain you're full. And then as you keep doing that, it has to keep pumping out more and more of that chemical and eventually loses its efficacy. So when you fast, you're essentially resetting your body that way. You're resensitizing yourself to that fullness hormone. And I'm really going to have to look it up. Oh, I think, there it is. Ghrelin. Is that the one? Camera's right in the way of the... All right, so it's either leptin or ghrelin. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those two. And there, also good point too from S-Curve Much. It doesn't matter what you call it. It also works on gut volume. That's a part of it too. And I'm really going to butcher the science on this one, but I know that your stomach is actually expandable. It's generally only the size of your two knuckles put together or two fists put together. So as you start eating more, the stomach lining stretches and you're able to fit more food into it. So by fasting, you're resetting that situation as well. So in that case, going without, abstaining, there's a purpose to it. No November is no purpose to it other than to say you did it. But that's just no different than those guys that eat Carolina Reapers just to say they can eat those peppers. Sometimes you just got to realize when you're masturbating about not masturbating, I guess. And no, you're not shedding S-Curve. Honestly, I think that's a much better name than the other ones you've been using, because scurvy is just, even though it sounds like a disease, but then again, stony sounds like a rock. So it's just one of those names. Don't even worry about it too much. And we're going to go on this one here. Happiness hormones in your brain, your gut, almost equal. On that note, I was thinking too on these ones. When we talk about going without, another thing that's good to go without is content you consume. Sending a quick link to somebody here. Chesty, if you want to join, spot's open for you for the second hour anyway. No rush, no have to. Stick around if you want, do whatever. And I mentioned it in a tweet a couple days back where it was Donnie, and I like Donnie. Donnie's a great guy, but he had one of these cathartic, complainy type videos on see how a woman acts that's different between an alpha and a beta. And I don't like that stuff either. I find it's no different than drinking lean, or I don't like when people are consuming content just to get an emotional reaction out of it, I guess is the best way. Maybe it's just the Canadian in me. We kind of like our television to be boring and uninteresting, and you can obviously tell because we're not that popular on the TV scene. But I don't like, and I hope I never have to do this myself, putting content out there just to get you enraged at thoughterry and how bad women can be. I don't like it. I don't think you should like it. And there's much better uses of your time. If you want to have an emotional reaction from TV, there's about 100 years of cinema that can make you feel just about anything you want. I think it does ourselves a disservice when we just simply put out bitches ain't shit over and over and over again. It's very, from an anger phase perspective, it's good, but you shouldn't have to outsource that. Most guys will have a situation in their life that pisses them off about women anyway. A wife leaves them, a mom left dad and didn't raise you right, girlfriend dumped you and then slept with your best friend. Like, there's no shortage of situations of things that really screw with a guy's head. And that's fine. And if a guy's new to his red pill journey, he may not be able to handle that with the best. And so what he may end up doing is just getting angry about it. And then the anger is a good thing in that case, because it allows your brain to increase its neuroplasticity. You can build new neurological connections, and then you can transition that into changing your mental models and the way you approach the world. If you guys don't know, a mental model, if you think of life as a series of stories, a mental model is the way that you use that story to anchor your decisions. So in the case of a red pill, it's it's benevolent selfishness. I'm getting mine. I'm the only one who takes care of me. And if somebody adds value to my life, I have no problem adding back. There's no altruism in it whatsoever. Everything is, and a lot of people have a problem with this because of the transactional nature of it, but that's the thing. Life is transactional in general. You have to offer something, otherwise people are too busy on their lives to really care. Even women. You take the crappiest woman ever, and just the fact that she's got a uterus and guys have thirst means there's something that she has to offer just by the benefit of being herself. There we go. Hey, Chesty. So just by the benefit of being herself. So at the end of the day, you gotta make your own anger. Don't consume anger from other people, and definitely don't be doing this No Nut November thing. Then that's ridiculous. There we go. I can hear your audio now. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Dude, long time no hear. How have you been? It's been a while. It's been like a month now.
Yeah, you've been busy doing things. I've been busy doing things, and this is literally the last priority I have. But
dude, I don't blame you. Thanks for coming, by the way. I know your time's a bit at a premium, so.
Yeah. I was doing a lot of writing recently, and trying to square away my home office and some other stuff, and it's just been very busy. And then of course kids and Halloween and decorating and everything else. It's just been time consuming. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, are you one of those guys that has the great Halloween display outside your house to show off on all your neighbors how much better you are than them? Or
yeah, we had the projectors doing the dancing skeletons in all of the front windows and everything else. It's a weird flex, definitely.
I don't know. I always thought those were cool, especially if you blast like metal out the end of it. Obviously not Danzig now, because apparently he's an asshole, but but that's funny. Yeah, I didn't realize Quincy loved you as much as he did. Like, I don't blame him. You're a likable guy, and I like you a lot.
Yeah, during certain parts of my my upbringing, we actually frequented some of the same places. He used to work the door at a number of clubs that I used to go to when I was in my 20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So he has always been a big guy with a big heart. But he sufficiently enraged, he'll pick you up by your head and remove you from places. So.
I'm just picturing so many stories from my old redneck bar, Cactus Jack's, which only place I've ever seen, by the way, that has the Canadian flag and the what's that renegade flag called?
Oh, the Confederate flag.
That's the one. Yeah, Confederate flag and Canadian flag together. It made no sense. Hay bales everywhere, but I'm like, all right, whatever. All redneck stuff is equal in their eyes.
Yeah, the degenerate Union Jack is it used to be called.
And then So you actually got me thinking on that topic. It was your idea to talk about No Nut November and guys who abstain from things for no real reason other than, and I couldn't really think of a motivation behind it other than that feeling of progress without actually making progress. The knuckle push-ups and the cold showers and bacon-scented beard oil and other symbols there. But I was curious, like, what got you onto that as a topic?
I have always seen people who, deny themselves what should be a basic human necessity as kind of, I don't know,
like a virtue?
Using a trans value of something that they already aren't getting to seek approval from others. I mean, let's be honest. Somebody who really advocates for an entire month where they say to themselves, hey, the fact that I'm not getting sex, all I really need to do now is not masturbate on top of it. And all of a sudden I'm this paragon of virtue. I mean, it's just dumb in so many ways. That's like the guy saying, I'm poor, so therefore this month I'm not going to work my side gig, so I really suffer and be broke, and I'm going to turn that into, no money March or some bullshit. I mean, it's it's the silliest thing I've ever heard. And then on top of it, you walk around with this mustache from, friggin' vaudevillian days, just so you can virtue signal again that you're doing something for men's health. That doesn't. Yeah, there you go. and you combine all this bullshit together, and you're just some walking advertisement for other people's movements, and you're not even a real person at that point. It's just a caricature guy out there going, hey girls, look at me, I've totally given up on a bunch of things, and I've invested in a couple of other things just so I can show you all how special I am. No, I mean, demonstrate some real value, tell people to go fuck off and do what you want.
I was just thinking we've advanced quite a ways since it used to be you would wear the band t-shirt that you got at the last concert. Now it's at the point where you have to literally follow their causes and do what they do.
Oh man, could you imagine being a Grateful Dead fan today, or a or a diehard Fish fan, where it's not good enough that I've it's not good enough that I've given up my livelihood to go follow you guys around for place to place for years and years, but I also have to listen to your collectivist nonsense and believe in it wholeheartedly, or I'm going to fail your, groupie super fan purity test. Shit is dumb.
It is dumb. Well, here in the real world, over in the northeastern corridor or the Rust Belt, I don't know how to call your guys' area there, but like, how common do you see this? Because obviously I'm downtown Toronto. I mostly see people that are too busy working to give a crap about just about anything but catching up on sleep, and why Cafe 66 isn't open and selling weed right now. So everybody here seems like oblivious to all this. So it seems very niche-like. Is it like that in the States?
I think it is. I think it's more niche than the media would like you to believe. Again, this is a lot of just overblown hype for the sake of selling stuff. It's real life clickbait in a lot of situations. The only people who really have time to do this are the actual professional agitators and college kids who are, living off from either loans or their parents anyway. The rest of us, we're doing our jobs and making money and doing the day-to-day errands and just getting shit done. We don't have time to figure out what it is that we need to virtue signal. I mean, I'm sure putting a magnetic pink ribbon on your car to signal that you like boobs and healthy boobs is something that a lot of people do. But I mean, other than that, it used to be the little yellow ribbons around the aerial antennas that people had, or something else on their car to signal that, we support the troops.
Okay, dude, I used to love seeing those when they were on base. And I'm going, wait a minute, you are the troops. Why isn't that a little bit self-indulgent to be wearing that thing?
Well, I mean, if you support your troops, don't screw Jody either. And that's always an interesting juxtaposition where you see somebody's I support the troops truck out in front of some other dude's house rather than their own. But that's a completely different story. But guys, if you're in the military, no long distance relationships. Let's just put it at that.
Oh God, yeah. No long distance relationships. If you have a heavy sailing schedule, don't even try. I don't know if I told you that story. There was this bar right by the base, and one of our great pastimes would be when a ship goes to deploy, we would go down there that weekend, and the crowd used to be like a lot of natives and a bunch of old like people with 5 or 6 teeth between them. And then as soon as the ship deployed, you would see it as like middle-aged soccer mom, constant bar stuff, and I was like, holy crap. They've turned cheating on your spouse into an institution at that point. It just boggled the mind, and we always had a good laugh watching it. Oh, you're busy on things there? So I'm thinking then, what can I offer as value to somebody else? Obviously, most of the guys that watch me or listen to you, they're pretty switched on. So they already know Nut November is going to make no sense anyway. There might be a few new guys in here who listen to it, but they don't. I know there's an increasing amount of guys that are actually listening to this while working out, which is heartwarming. I can't do that anymore because I've taken up swimming again because my arthritis is bothering me so much. I have a hard time lifting anything. But I don't know where I was going with this one. Yeah, I really don't know. I actually had no topics on this one, so I was really glad you came up with that. And I don't know how much I can talk about knuckle push-ups in the shower and jerking yourself off about not jerking off. There's the virtue signaling stuff, but I'm with you. I'm not even interested in it, and I'm in this space. I was thinking...
Yeah, I think that there's just been a general uptick in self-denial in general in the space. This is kind of a bellwether moment for it, but more and more you're seeing either the trads or the pure pillars and some of the MGTOWs just simply saying, well, if I'm going to do my own thing, or if I'm going to follow others doing my own thing, which, in and of itself is a oxymoron.
Yeah.
It's going to essentially just boil down to, why is it that I don't need women, and this is what I'm going to do to show that I don't. And one of the first things I can show that women don't have any power over me is that I'm not going to touch them or myself for long periods of time just to say, ha, woman, you evil beast, you, in picture and in person, you can't take my seed from me. I mean, I
can't picture any girl who actually cares when they hear that kind of stuff either.
Oh my God, they're probably repulsed by it. They're like, what? You've basically given yourself the mindset that there's nothing that I could do for you physically that would stop you from your goal of not doing anything for an entire month. I wouldn't be impressed by that either. I'd be like, I'll just move on to the next guy who actually wants to fuck.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's abundance for you. It makes sense there. But I just don't get, I get it. And I know there's like a bit of a resurgence in that with the glow-tards now in the red pilled space. Guys who are losers that go out of their way to make being a loser an identity and then reframing it so they're not losers. And I don't understand it. I just don't understand why somebody would rather defend their identity than actually improve in any measurable way. Like, even see it in the sports. It's always, and I'm not bashing it. Weightlifting is a good idea because it's healthy in that, but it's always singular things. It's never, oh, I'm going to go play on a basketball team or I'm going to join a football team. It's always, everything I do has to be just me alone by myself. Which, weightlifting essentially.
Yeah, I mean, but that's part of the binary, bell end mindset when it comes to how to solve problems. It's taking monotasking to the extreme, essentially. And the easiest way to avoid any distractions is to focus on one thing so hard and make it essentially not only your reason to be, but also a rallying cry for yourself, and then stick to it to the point of having to defend it with a 99-page pamphlet with a foreword by a moron and assistance by Stewie Griffin puffed up in adult form.
Did you actually read that?
Oh, Jesus. I got about 45 pages in, and I went, this is the biggest self-aggrandizing saleable argument I've ever experienced. You know, we need more Karl Popper and a lot less Karl Marx when it comes to people's reasoning. And you know, if every argument you make can't be attacked in some way and is essentially irrefutable based upon your own presuppositions about how it affects you, that's not an argument. That's an opinion that fits you, that you believe you can foist upon others. And that's the biggest problem with the book, is that it's a manifesto as to this one guy's reasoning why he doesn't like apraxology and believes it to be an ideology. And
that's ominous.
Every
time I hear manifesto, I'm always worried that Elliot Rogers found a new host.
Well, no, I mean, it's any self-serving writing is a manifesto, basically, and to essentially regurgitate everything that's going on in your head just to get it out as a grievance. And then to have it, you know, the imprimatur of supercuts and a few assisting quotes and you know, book references by you know, our Chilean bodybuilder, putting that crap all together into one big shit word salad, and then saying, you know, the red pill is an ideology and it resembles feminism. I mean, well, for one thing, it's not an ideology. And secondly, if you look at the MRAs and equate them to the red pill, then yeah, I guess you might be right, because MRAs are essentially feminists, but acting in their own political ways, very much like feminists. But I don't have enough time to shit on MRAs and 30 minutes, so we won't get into that.
Yeah, fair.
But again, it is a gigantic circling of the jerkings for the purposes of basically saying, I follow a traditional moral pattern and code, and because of that, everything that you do that has a moral failing must be wrong. And to make it fancy and say that it's based on continental philosophy and not on Jesus is simply removing one God and replacing it with a group of disgruntled idols during a weird time in history. And when you do things like that, all you end up doing is signaling the fact that you're too excited about the books that you're reading at that point in time, almost like a freshman in college with your first psych class.
I was thinking the 9-year-old that tells his parents about dinosaurs that he just found on TV.
Yes, that, and another analogy I like to make too is, you know, you're in your group of people who have never had sex. The first time that you get to finger bang a girl, you happen to be the most experienced person in the room. It doesn't make you a master of sex at that point. And that's kind of how I feel about these guys who, you know, between the ages of 19 and 25 have got it all figured out because they finally read something from Wittgenstein. I mean, come on, just pull it back a bit, get some life experience, and learn that, you know, what you're reading from a book written by a disgruntled virgin back during war times is probably not going to reflect your reality or anybody else's at this point.
That's true. Oh yeah, it was around World War I that stuff was written, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, of course. You know,
Which
we thought that everything was coming to an end, or that there was some type of true Armageddon taking place, and that within that there could be a restructuring of how most social norms worked. And a lot of these guys wanted to go collectivist, and most of them had no idea that that was part of the reason why there was going to be war in the first place, was that everything was becoming more authoritarian. And it doesn't matter who you place in authority. If they're not a benevolent dictator, they're always going to be a dictator that wants your shit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you call it Nazism, communism, you know, oligarchy, all of it is either one person or a group of people who like to take from the labor of others and redistribute it to people who whine about it.
Well, so what is it? The Millennium dialects: the strong do as they can, the weak suffer as they must.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, the issue there is how much do you regulate, and how much do you let people get stomped on or fail, depending on which end of that particular dynamic you're on.
So that's the thing I like about this too. Like, you're right, all this stuff makes really good sense, but if you just take it and put it onto a personal level, like to try and change the rules, it's probably not going to happen in our lifetime. And if it does happen, it's going to be outside of our control. Most of the things that have happened today with the dating market and that are technological changes or economic changes. They're not because an individual person decided, today I'm going to decide to make women into thoughts. It's not at all. Just the pill came, the internet came, and then some apps where eventually there was going to be a dating app, and they all came out. So this is stuff that's outside of our control. Tinder didn't make it, somebody else would have. Or I think somebody even name dropped Plenty of Fish before. 90s kids will remember.
I actually name dropped Plenty of Fish just to make a joke on Twitter, but I thought that was funny. I was gonna go AOL singles meet or give somebody your IM your IM designation way back then. Boy, talk about just a den of creeps way back when.
Oh God, horrible with that ASL. Everybody was 18, blonde and girl. I'm like, yeah, I don't think half of you guys are chicks. Are traps gay? That's the question you got to ask. I was thinking too, back to your thing from my art history training. I remember this too because Dadaism came out about that time, and that's exactly what you described. It was a bunch of guys who thought the world was going to end anyway. And so they just bucked authority, and it was edgy for the sake of being edgy. Art just threw everything on its head. And I think half of the group ended up going communist. And then the other half of the group ended up doing acid and becoming surrealists. And I'm just wondering when we're going to hit that point when our new age Dadaists that nothing ever matters are going to transition, and which way are they going to go? Are they going to join a commune, or are they going to start drinking lean all day?
No, I think a lot of those guys would end up just sitting in a room and doing exactly what they're doing and getting their message out in a nice, safe, cloistered way. Sipping on Soylent and getting their nutrients that way. Yeah, I mean, the moment that a toilet ends up in the Vatican or ends up in the Louvre, I mean, that's kind of a turning point in history. And when you've got that, and I don't know if you as part of your art history training, you did any of the film training that went along with it.
No, but I had a film student roommate when I was in college who taught me a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at about that same time, there was a movie that came out. It was written by a French guy and directed by a French guy by the name of Brunel, and Salvador Dali did a lot of the imagery in it. And it was called Un Chien Andalou, basically. And weird title, doesn't make much sense. And the movie made absolutely no sense at all. And it opens up with a scene of a woman looking at the moon, and a guy comes up behind her with a straight razor and slices it across her eye. And
I've seen that one. Yeah, he used a goat eye for that. They did actually have that.
Correct. Yeah. And even Dali said himself that the whole entire premise of the movie was that every one of the scenes was independent and none of it flowed into anything else, and that it was intentionally designed not to make any sense, and that you shouldn't get any message out of it, and that it's simply there for the purposes of showing you images that might either be disturbing or discordant in order just to simply show you disturbing and discordant images. And that's what people don't understand now, is that sometimes a blowjob's just a blowjob. You know what I mean? There is no power component to it. There is no, is that what you should be doing with your seed type of questions that are deep down inside when it comes to what's happening. Should I not feel pleasure by this? Is this different pleasure than you might receive from doing something else with another person? No, man, it is what it is. You don't need to look into it any deeper than that. And trying to make a grand meaning out of everything sometimes is the downfall of all of these guys. They want to create a grand unified social, political, sexual, metaphysical thing out of what we call the manosphere. And it doesn't need to be that in order to be helpful to men. It needs to be a sexual strategy for them, for the purposes of getting guys one of those many needs that they need out of life.
I agree.
And
Yeah,
the fact that
the should is your answer. It's not, you don't need other guys telling you how you should live your life.
Yeah, and the fact that a lot of this flows into other areas of your life is just the fact that a generally attractive person attracts good things to themselves based upon the way that they're able to interact with others without the fear of saying, yeah, I've got everything covered in my life but this one thing, or that I've got this few things covered in my life pretty solidly. Now I can go branch out and conquer other areas of my life that need fixing. But
yeah, and if you're not doing that, then you're not growing anyway. I think that's the Roosh problem. He kind of never really left the pickup stuff, and then he realized one day he's 40, and now what do I do? He's been stagnating for like 5, 6, 7 years.
Grow a really big beard and become Jesus 2.0.
Don't do what I do, kids. I had fun and I taught you how to do things, but I did it too much. A lot of it too. It's just too much.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I've never been a big fan of the avoid all the excesses that I did, kids, because I couldn't handle all of the orgasms, all of the partying, and all of the attention. It just became too much.
Right, yeah, kicking up the ladder from under themselves.
That's right, and therefore, I forbid you from experiencing the same things. That kind of reminds me of the boomer mindset of don't become an entrepreneur, work for the government or a really well-established organization and make sure that you get that steady paycheck, because, I didn't have that when I was building my business that eventually made $4 million a year.
Finally, a boomer insult that's talking about actual boomers. How refreshing.
Yeah, I don't just come out with that, willy-nilly. I'm a Gen X, so I get called a boomer when I point out that none of the things that millennials or Gen Zs say or think about have already been thought of before.
Oh, it's annoying. I'm kind of embarrassed. I almost wish I was just a couple years older so I could be a Gen Xer. I'm like first generation millennial, and it's that weird thing where I knew the internet, but I wasn't raised on it, so they do a lot of things that kind of weird me out. But then again, I actually had the internet, so I don't have the Gen X benefit of pen and paper until I was 34.
Well, I basically had pen and paper until I was, 16, 17. And then I got my first email account on the Washington State University Pine Network when I was very, very, very early, 18 years old. And then I was on, InfoNet forums. They used to be supposedly used for, transmitting news back and forth across the country, but they ended up turning into different forums. Mm-hmm. And there were always, trading pictures forums and everything else, even way back then. You'd wait 4.5 hours to see a boob come across your screen at 14:4.
And your mom would always pick up the phone just before it got to the nip.
It's like, Mom. She's got a pretty face, Mom. Hang up.
Who's talking about that? Where people were bringing up who their crushes were back then, and I remember I was a huge fan of Tracy Lords.
Yeah,
but it was after her porn career too, so I didn't know about that part of it.
Oh, so you knew her from like the Johnny Depp movie Cry Baby and some of those things and stuff.
Yeah, and she was on a sci-fi series too. Not First Contact, Second Wave.
Yeah.
There's an old show. I used to love that one. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Not really on topic anyway. The no nut stuff. I keep thinking about it, and I don't know we've been at it for years. I mean, we, you, me, everybody in the sphere generally has been at it for years.
Going on, well, at least in MRP, going on close to 6 now.
Geez, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's like somebody's career length if you think about it for that kind of timeline.
Yeah, I mean November 2014. So I mean it's starting into the 6th year now.
Yeah, and after all this time, the exact same things keep popping up. The exact same guy still like suckles up to his wife. The exact same guy, instead of making neo-masculinity and talking about how the gays are bad, it's talking about Evola and why the gays are bad. And it's like the same thing keeps coming up time after time. And I don't see any way around it other than having to constantly be in this same slog that everybody's going to be in, since alt-fast seduction on the Usenets at Pine Network with your first email account.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about, Sedits, was kind of the precursor for things. These pickup communities and seduction communities and how to get. Literally, one of them was called "How to Get the Girls.usenet," and in all this stuff was around in the early 90s. 1992, 1993. On sans serif font 14.4 type of stuff, and if you wanted that information you could get it. There was always some dude out there trying to sell to young guys why they aren't getting the girls, and that'll never go away. I mean, so long as it's a basic need and you can't just go down to the Quickie Mart and make a deposit and say, where's my artificial womb? I'll be back in 9 months or whatever the gestation period is going to be in one of those things. You're always going to need a partner. So, learn.
Thinking Logan's Run where he had that little remote control and he'd order girls on the thing and they'd teleport in.
Oh no! Well, that was even funnier because a lot of times he would cycle through people and there'd be dudes on the run too. So he'd be like, and he would immediately like get he'd immediately get like a disgusted look on his face and go to the next person because it's some guy, So it's girl, guy. Oh no, girl.
Nothing changes. Well, you're right on this too. I don't get, it's just, it doesn't have to be any bigger than that. And I think the underlying theme that you're talking about, and I can tell I keep stuttering to get around the point here, but that underlying theme of the guys who need to have some overarching metaphysical, existential, completely solid, logical box to put themselves in. It's just a safety buffer. It's bubble wrapping your life. It's saying, I'm not going to take any steps forward until I've completely discovered the meaning of life and have my timeline of my lifetime sorted out from the day I start to the day I die. And until I get all this planning finished, I'm not going to move a muscle. Which reminds me deceptively a lot of, do you remember Upstream Twitter?
Oh yeah, with Artful Man and I think Patty Cone Fatty was also part of Upstream to a certain extent as well. Boob Stedman. But they basically said that there is more, there should be more, here is more. But of course, we won't produce any content. We won't write any books. But we will tell you that whatever the red pill has at this point in time, it's not enough. Come follow us and we'll show you the true path. And then you go and try and follow and they don't show you anything different, or if they do show you something, it's reheated, early Christian masculinity or neo-masculinity movement stuff that was around in the 60s and the 70s that had nothing to do with sexual strategy. It had everything to do with making yourself into a real man, which is a better plow horse.
Yeah,
it's the same
secular
stuff.
religion. It weirds me out.
It's the same pattern of behavior as always. It's boom, crash, reformation thinking about how everything operates. And all of this stuff goes through cycles. And like I've told you before, you know, when I was in about the same time I was first getting online, I was also starting to get active in writing for a lot of the guys that were in the MRA movement at the time.
Right.
You know, and I would write
back when it was guys running the movement.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and hardcore Christians mostly.
Oh.
I was, yeah. Well, I mean, like Promise Keepers and stuff like that were the heads of those movements at the time, and you know, they got a lot of membership. You know, well over 800,000 people at a march in Washington back in the late 90s. So, I mean, these types of movements have been around forever. You know, they had what did they call it? The strong Christian movement or masculine Christianity movement back in the late 1800s to counteract
suffragettes.
The suffragists. Yep. So I mean, all of these things kind of crop up together, and they kind of run in concert with one another. And it's been well over 100 years since there's been a "Where have all the real men gone?" has been, you know, that the unanswered question on the minds of men and women, and they've never gone anywhere. It's just that you don't like the way that they look, and you want to bend them and shape them into something that pleases your eye and your wallet. And unless they meet that metric, you'll just simply use the no true Scotsman argument for everything. And I think that now that's kind of my crusade, is to basically tell people you're arguing in bad faith. I mean, everybody at this point is completely non-assertive. So I mean, I've kind of given up on that quest to make people actually ask for and seek what it is that they want out of life, because they'll never
passive aggressive is the new norm.
They'll never do that at this point. It's easier just to be a passive aggressive individual than it is to actually be aggressive and not you know, accept the consequences of asking and getting what you want. But this other issue of, you know, every argument when Rollo will say something about, you know, well, Christianity is being overrun by women, here's some proof of that. 100 comments underneath will say, well, not at my church, or this isn't happening in my particular sect, or, you know, real Catholics don't do this, real Methodists don't do that, real Lutherans don't do that. You know,
because every time you bring up any unflattering thing about a girl,
yeah,
every individual girl will, well, I'm not like that, and then that's it.
Of course. Yeah, and it's really all based on the old no true Scotsman purity argument, where you basically just say that none of these people fit my actual description of what I believe that particular ideology or person should look like. Therefore, I can stick to my guns when it comes to my backward thinking.
Jesus didn't lift, so I'm not going to lift.
Yeah, that, you know, yeah. I mean, things like that. Well, I mean, during the month of November, Jesus didn't fuck, so I'm not going to fuck either, I guess. But it all kind of fits together the same way.
Oh, here, one sec. My old lady brought me a coffee. She's such a sweetheart.
There you go.
Oh, never mind. She's walking away with it. Still has time to fuck with me after all these years.
See?
You can smell it. Give it back. Yeah, and it's not so much those guys. I used to think they were just shilling. I thought it was just, oh, this is a great way to make money. This is what we can do. And I truly believe that. I always thought Stedman was a very good marketer. But the more Rollo shows me guys like that Pinnacle of Man, or the Heaven's Gate dude with his surfboard in the shed, the more I'm realizing it's like, no, these guys really are. It's this weird, passive, harmless form of crazy, I guess. And it's not so much them, because whatever, crazy people who have a microphone, there's always going to be somebody shouting with a signboard on them. It's that they actually managed to build decent followings. And I don't think that everybody's just watching Pat Stedman of his however many followers he has now just to laugh at him. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of people that resonate with that. So I don't understand why it's such an easy to resonate message with so many guys. Other than that, it's easy because it's essentially arguing that you don't do anything. Don't do anything. You're fine the way you are. Let's work on some planning and never write it down. But don't worry, by the end of it, you'll be Jesus.
Well, I mean, you could argue that there were a lot of better R&B acts than James Brown. Okay.
Right.
And say, you know, back when he was touring the country, you know, you could say Chuck Berry was a lot better performer and his music was a lot better than James Brown was. But who put on a better show? I mean, who came out and damn near fainted because he did 7 or 8 encores?
Fair point.
They had to put a cape on him, you know, to calm him down and bring him back from, you know, jumping out into the crowd and in you know, damn near rapturous joy of performing for his audience. I mean, that I think is a large part of it, where these guys give you all of the indication that they're incredibly passionate about whatever dumb position they've taken. And because I can deliver my message with a certain amount of fervor, that my energy that I'm putting out there, whether it's manufactured, legitimate, genuine, that's the thing that people are more interested in, as opposed to whether or not what somebody is saying is rational or is in their best interest. I mean, sometimes, you know, what's best for you is boring, unfortunately. And a lot of these guys need to be told that they've got some special purpose in life, that as a man, I love you. I mean, that shit creeps me out.
It freaked you out too, did it?
Oh, I've never been so, you know, kind of taken aback at the end of a speech about how terrible certain people are, that you know, but my audience who's listening to this and learning about how bad these people are, just remember, man, I love you. Oh God. No, you don't. Get away from me.
This is it. There's no way he could. There's no way.
Right. And yeah, I mean, he might love surfing or something, judging by what was in his shed. But when they get wild-eyed like that, when they, you know, get down on their knees and, you know, they deliver their speeches like, you know, Joe Cocker does, you know, I have a little help for my friends type of thing, you know, you just totally, you know, committed and, you know, full body delivery of everything. I mean, everybody likes to, you know, I don't know, overlook him every once in a while because of his stature. But, you know, that's one of the main draws that Hunter has, is the fact that he's incredibly passionate about his message. Whether or not he's 100% correct all the time is something completely different. It's just that, you know, that fervor, that zealotry about
good storytelling, same as Quincy when he's talking about kicking a girl out of a Frampton concert.
Right. Yeah. You know, I mean, Frampton may live, but your ass is going to live outside this concert. But that's just the way it works. People are brought in by personalities. I mean, I can't get 900 people to move to a foreign country and drink cyanide Kool-Aid. That says a lot about the messenger, not necessarily about the message. And, you know, there are many Jim Jones out there in the world. Mm-hmm. You just got to be careful.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is Red Jive. He mentioned this to me kind of as a warning when I first got started doing this. I guess I can call it professionally, but it's only because I can't think of a better way to describe it. And he said that eventually you're going to change the message. It's going to get watered down. And I think this is where he was going with that. Because if you want to build a big enough following, you have to be that super passionate on all the time. And guys, you're going to love this. Let's work out and slay broads. And I think that's where he was. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what he meant, was if you're going to have to be that kind of personality that draws people to you, and you can't focus on that while at the same time detracting from actionable advice, from value add, or from, I guess, logical consistency even.
Well, I mean, there is the genuine lure of becoming Billy Mays. There really is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is a certain amount of you know, financial and social opportunities out there to becoming a demagogue, and also to
I
trying.
don't think anybody's ever described Billy Mays as a demagogue, but I like it.
No, he kind of is, though. I mean, he was a selling machine. I mean, he was basically, you know, Just for Men mixed with Coke with a script. I mean, and he was just pounding out those ads for years and years and years, and he made millions upon millions of dollars. You know, then forming his own companies to sell these things on TV, and it is what it is. I do like this question that you posted on YouTube
Joseph's
here. What is the opinion on the purpose and meaning of life mantra the world pushes out for young guys? I guess Joe would need to explain, you know, what he believes the message that he's receiving is before maybe we could give him some type of answer as to, you know, how to filter out what it is that he's hearing. And if he feels as though that he's living a crazy life of, I don't know, excess or trying to live up to other people's expectations, that would be my first start, is to try to figure out what he means by that. And then secondly, you know, start looking at life from your own mental point of origin and saying, look, this is what I need out of this, as opposed to what am I getting out of the message that I'm receiving from the rest of the world.
Yeah, what's in it for me? I think we can, instead of, or Wine More Please, he was on last week and he said the same thing. Like, what's the value add for me on this one? The only thing I could say for Joseph on this was, I don't remember why I coined it, but I was just saying at one point, like, you ain't shit, and that's okay. And I think that's a nice first step, is realizing that you're not important, that there's not some overarching meaning that you need to derive from life, that there is no solidified life scripts that you need to follow to become optimized or perfect. And I know I'm stepping on Rich here, but saying that be your best self, like there is no best self. There's just a self that you decide to work towards. And then once you kind of accept that, whatever, it is what it is. You ain't shit, and that's fine. And then you can kind of get out of your own way and just start looking at your own self-interests. And then if you have the desire to have somebody else join you in that life and they improve your life, then you're going to have way more value than you could possibly know what to do with yourself. So there's plenty enough for you to give to other people once they earn it.
Right. And here's the thing, is that you will never have enough time to do everything that you need to do for yourself and please all of the other people in your life. You need to be selective with everything. Mm-hmm. Learn to look at yourself first and say, hey, look, you know, what do I need out of my life first, and how am I feeling about things, and have I taken care of myself sufficiently to put myself out there and to give to others in some way, so long as they're providing value back to me. Another thing, Joe, you don't need to save the West, for one thing. And secondly, it's not your fault.
Yeah. You didn't cause this world. You're not going to be able to fix it. Its force is way bigger than all of us. It's not some political cadre of people. It's, for the most part, these are technological and economic changes. And no one person is going to be able to make a dent in it one way or the other. So even Tanner, I like Tanner. I'm not a religious guy, but I do like fine, world's going to hell. I'm just going to make my own little bubble and make my best white picket fence as possible. I don't agree with the choice he's made, but he's owning it and he's moving forward with it as best he can. And whatever you want to say about the guy, you can't say he's not giving it his all.
No, he's decisive. I think that's another thing that's lacking, is decisiveness in your decisions. You know, mea culpas these days are a lot of lip service. They're not a real apology about anything. So if somebody apologizes to you about doing something, you know, I wouldn't even believe it to begin with 90% of the time. But contrary to that, the person who goes out and does exactly what they do and they're unapologetic for it, that person actually earns more respect from me, simply because they're saying, yeah, you might not like what I do, but this is what I've chosen to do, and I'm sticking to it, and I'm following through.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, yeah, sorry, not sorry. But I also think, you know, if it works for you, regardless of what I think about it, you know, if I think that the religion of gold tablets and magic underwear is nonsensical, that's not for me to decide. I mean, that's a personal opinion about somebody's belief system. It doesn't matter one way or another to me whether or not Tanner's a Mormon, a Hindu, or an atheist. It's the fact that he's decided to go on an actual path that he's determined for himself, and that those particular things are a part of it. But that doesn't make who he is as a man. That just simply is one small facet of who he is.
Yeah, he's who he makes him a man. Man's what he does. He does things.
Yep.
We'll go Joseph here. He added some things to it. He likes the I ain't shit thing. So much focus on self-improvement these days. I feel like that's all I'm doing, not taking a minute to stop and laugh. I actually really like this second part of it too. I hate self-improvement as much as he does, because he's telling us about the masturbatory part of it. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole self-improvement is just doing it, but what's the end? Like, he doesn't know what he's doing it for. And then people are giving these metaphysical reasons. Well, real men do this, and Jesus would like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 18 months ago, or closer to 2 years ago now, when everybody in the manosphere was singing Kumbaya, and we were first getting on to 21 Studios and putting together the Red Man Group, the first show that was on, and my first comment to Rollo and friends was, self-improvement is masturbation. And I have not changed my mind on that stance whatsoever since then.
100%.
I believe that self-improvement for the sake of self-improvement is a circuitous goal, and it doesn't make any sense with regard to actual self-discovery. You got to get out there and test yourself amongst the world, and sitting in your room and perfecting yourself, sipping weak tea and going to the gym isn't going to cut it. I mean, there's
nothing to fail in that is the problem. When you're doing it by yourself, there's no failure. As long as you did slightly better at some metric somewhere than you did yesterday, you're fine. So I read 18 words as opposed to 17 today, so I'm improving. I'm with you. The means to an end is such a better way to look at it. What do I want, and what steps do I have to take to get it?
Yeah, I mean, Drew's not in the chat now, but I like it. I kind of liken it to his version of what he believes exercise to actually be versus what most people believe exercise to be. A lot of people believe exercise to be slightly more weight, one more rep, something data driven that represents, your progress, quote unquote progress. And he's of the mindset that it doesn't matter what you use for weight. Reps don't even matter so long as you bring the muscle itself to failure. And that could be 3 reps with half the weight that you're currently using, but you do the reps at 1 minute to get it to the top of your rep, rest for less than 3 seconds, and come back down over an entire minute and do that 3 times, versus I'm going to cheat rep, twice as much weight, 5 sets of 5. And
so I can write down a bigger number than I did last week.
Correct. So you can write down a different number and you can feel better about yourself, but have you actually done the work? Have you actually accomplished the exercise, the whole meaning of you being there, versus creating a metric? And I think that that's important, that a lot of time, for the sake of providing some type of mental buffer to yourself about how you're progressing, you end up fudging the numbers a bit. And again, this is that improvement mindset where you need to show that things are going up in a linear fashion, and our desire to demonstrate to ourselves and to others that we're getting better. And
the demonstration part too, that's the other part that gets me. It's not even that you're improving, it's that you're showing people you're improving. It's such a validation seeking thing.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I think this whole, No Nut November and Movember and all of these other November virtue signaling things all kind of fall into this same type of category. You just end up saying to yourself, hey, what is it that I'm showing to other people versus what am I actually doing for myself that's making myself better. And if you say, well, I have a really bad porn habit and this No Nut November thing is helping me, curb that, well, then great. But you could do that at any time. You don't need to do it in conjunction with somebody writing you a message online telling you, hey, there's this group of guys out here. We've all just decided that we're going to keep our seed deep inside our bodies for an entire month.
I hate when guys talk about it like seed, like we're goddamn farmers.
I know we have to fertilize the world, Ryan.
Yeah, and girls aren't people with their own desires. They're just what we till. They're objects. They're objects in our narcissistic fantasy.
Correct.
And the ones that act like thoughts are acting off script. Don't they know what the rules are? You're supposed to be here and let us hoif you up, take off your shoes, and go make a sandwich.
Yeah.
That's your only role in life right now.
Yeah.
The cog in the machine known as I'm a man, and you need to believe it.
Well, and a lot of times in the machine of I'm a man and you need to believe it also comes with you're less of a woman and I need to demonstrate that to you as well. And I'm not really sure where that comes in too.
I just assume that's single moms or divorced moms raising kids guys to act like chicks, because that shame approach is exactly what women do. And the more I'm seeing guys use it now, the more I'm finding they just sound like women. They
do sound like women, but at the same time, they're denying women agency, which is really strange. On top of it, saying you're either children or you're not smart enough to make these decisions for yourself, so you should just give up on it and let big, strong, men like me do it for you. And at the same time, these big, strong men are buying dolls and doing all kinds of dumb shit. So I mean, it's a weird juxtaposition of, lady, get out of my way and allow me to do what I need to do in order to do a lot of dumb things.
Please give me permission to be a man. I need your tacit endorsement.
Yeah. And it's strange that the moment that they receive some type of fallback on that too, oh, these women are starting to call us incels, and now I'm feeling negative about the way that I'm doing things, or fuck those bitches, they don't get it. Well, they kind of do get it. I mean, the whole point is that if you're sitting back and you're not doing anything to get out there and have sex with people, then you're a vol cell for a month when you're an incel the other 11. Let's just look at it that way.
Look, if you're that bad with women that you need to do this anyway, just go get rejected for 30 straight days. It shouldn't be hard. Guys are doing it all the time.
Well, you might actually learn something in the process too, as opposed to saying,
just screw up your No Nut November.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh darn it! I got my pants around my ankles. I failed miserably.
Jeez. Oh, on that note, I just realized the time. I'm gonna start Rule 0 in like 5 minutes here.
Yeah, I saw that too. So, well, good luck with that, and hopefully, whatever you guys cobble together this morning is good. And there's a lot to talk about out there right now, but I can't wait till the holidays start really being advertised in earnest. Then it gets really silly.
Oh, Jesus' birthday, and they're gonna screw up Jesus. I just know it.
Yeah. They'll sell you some cool stuff in the name of Jesus, though. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, fair enough. Well, I'm gonna let you go. And like I said, Corey, you're always welcome. I know your time's at a premium, so if I throw you invites, you don't always have to join. But any chance I can get to peel you away for a couple minutes and pick your brain and shoot the shit, I'm always gonna take it. Just so you know.
Sounds good.
All right. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you later. Stick around, the same channel. 5 minutes. We're gonna start Rule 0, Mystery Meat. I'll talk to you then.